You should know that this is a very exciting and busy time here in the admission office. We're really gearing up, coming off of a pretty extraordinary year last year. We had 178 new students come to Friends School last year, and that's a big number for us. You'll see in your little, this is a new piece, it's actually a redone piece. There are some facts and figures, which please take them. I think it's nice to know that. We actually are not at 872 anymore, we're at 874, but at 872 we actually literally for the first time in my time here had equal number of male-female students, which is just extraordinary. And I wish I could tell you exactly how we did it. It just was sort of shook out that way, but I think that's a really funny number and something fun to look at. So as I said, we had 178 new students over the last year, many of them in pre-primary, which is very typical, many in middle school, also typical, but the big get here was 65 new students in the upper school, with 52 of them in 9th grade.
Wow.
That's a big number. I don't know that will happen again in the coming year, but it's been very exciting. I think the class, anybody who has a 9th grader, that class has really come together. I think it's been a fun group, and we're watching really closely. We put a lot of things in place to make that feel like a easy and smooth transition for all those new students, and for the kids who were here, because they had suddenly a lot of new students in there walking around the hallways with them. So that's been a really positive and exciting thing for the school. Every year I love to come talk with you all, because really I feel that as all parents, but certainly as board members of our Parents Association, you all are by default ambassadors of the school. People you on the sidelines or at concerts or at neighborhood barbecues or cocktail parties or ballet lessons where you're standing on the side and somebody says to you, so where do your kids go to school? And you're going to say Friends, then suddenly you've become the expert on Friends School, right? And you may or may not feel that way. So I just love to be able to talk to parents and just sort of give you permission. Humble brag is a phrase that we're starting to talk a lot about. It's not something that traditionally I think Friends School folks feel totally comfortable doing, and I'm giving you permission. You go right on out there and brag. But I do think that there's a way to do that that makes you feel maybe more comfortable, right? And what we know is that stories are the best way to tell your experience, right? And so I want you to think about that as you're talking to folks. Tell your story. Tell what brought you to Friends. What was the reason you came? Why did you come look? Why did you come sit in my office? And then what's your experience been? And then on the other side, what are the positives that have come from that? If you frame everything in those sort of ways, I find that it's a lot easier for me to say, you know, because I'm not just talking about my kid. I'm not saying, oh, my kid is this extraordinary. You're really talking about your experience, and I think that can be a really comfortable way to do that. In Baltimore, we know that word of mouth reigns supreme, right? This is all about, it's a little small, big city, and so we're all talking and sharing those experiences with each other. I think that there are a couple rules about doing that, telling your experiences. One is to be joyful about it. That's not to say you can imagine that over 20 years of being a Friends School parent with 3 kids, not every moment was joyful. And it was certainly not without bumps in the road. But I would say that my experience overall, looking back, it has been one of the most extraordinary experiences of my life, and I think for my children as well, as we now are in the position to look sort of back. Although I'm not sure my senior's really ever going to leave. She's starting to already talk about, I don't want to go. So I would say be joyful, which is sort of great that she doesn't want to go, I think. The other thing I would say is, do you know the cracked egg theory? People have heard me do this before. I've heard this theory, the cracked egg. So the theory of the cracked egg is this. When you go to the grocery store and you pick up a carton of eggs and you look at it and there's one little teeny crack on one egg, do you close it and put it in your cart, or do you close it and put it back? Close it and put it back, right? Nobody buys the one with the cracked egg. So what I would say is, as you're telling your stories, it's really easy in our desire to be honest to say something like, let me think of a good example. Friends has been perfect. You know, we once had this teacher in the kindergarten that I wasn't so sure about, but it's been perfect. You know what that person remembers? That one teacher in the kindergarten. Now, having said that, I'm not telling you not to tell the truth. I always want you to tell the truth. Your experience is your experience. It's yours to share however you choose. But I would say that when you just meet somebody, you might not lead with that. Which is a funny thing, and I had to learn that because in my job of wanting to be honest, and everybody, if you've looked at the school in the last decade, you've heard stories about my kids because that's what I do. I talk about them all the time. I had to learn that because it would come back to me. Well, you know, we heard that kindergarten is not great. Well, I didn't say the kindergarten wasn't great. I just said I didn't. So just a little thing to think about as you talk about school. The other thing is when you start talking about friends, people are going to talk to you about friends back, and you're going to hear things about us that we may not know. So if you hear things in your conversations with folks that you think, gosh, somebody at school should really know that, you can get my cards right there. You can call me and I'll get it to whoever needs to know that, because we won't know if you don't tell us. So as ambassadors, you're going to put stuff out, and you're also going to hear things back, and we want to know for sure. Any questions about that? Any questions about being a parent ambassador? There's several ways you can be a parent ambassador. You can absolutely volunteer and come to any admission event you want. Just let me know you're going to be there. I'll have a name tag for you. We do open houses. We do a newly accepted student event. We do several different experiences at different age levels. Right now, the admission office is very busy going out in the community. We're school fairs and coffees and people's homes. Thanks, Jen Taylor down there is hosting an event for us next week. We are out and about. If you would like to join us for any of those, please do. If you have no interest in doing that, but you're happy to make some phone calls, I'm happy to have you do that. If you love to be on social media, we're happy to have you do that. And there's lots of ways in which we can and fix you up. Laura and can certainly help us do that as well. Okay?
I have one question.
Sure.
Can we share this exact piece?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It's being handed out in large numbers everywhere we can. So
I mean, on
please
social
share.
media we can.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Sure. Just know that as soon as you print something like that, it's not accurate. So
I'm going to get they probably got the media form of it.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Do you have this?
It's not an in-house piece,
Okay.
so I don't know that we do, but I can certainly look into it and see if we can get it for you.
Take a picture of it with your
Yeah.
iPhone 11.
So a
That'll
couple
probably
other
be-
things, and then I want people to be able to ask questions. I would say that you are going to notice if anybody heard any ads on YPR.
This morning.
Yeah, right. You're going to notice new banners here on campus coming up real quick. You're going to notice new print when you're in the mall in the next 4 or 5 weeks. You might see something different. We're going to be in different spaces. You're going to hear different language. Over the last year, we've worked with a firm outside of Friends School, and we have some new language and some new branding. And I thought I would end my little talk by, and I'm still reading it, though I'm supposed to have it kind of really in my head. But I'm going to read this to you, and this is in 3 sentences about Friends School. At Friends School of Baltimore, we commit to helping you discover and become the person you are meant to be. We challenge you to find meaning in what you learn and encourage you to continually ask why. We offer you countless opportunities to put your voice to work in the classroom, in Baltimore, and beyond. Your generation faces tough challenges and exciting opportunities. We assure you that your time here will equip you with the knowledge and confidence to be courageous change makers wherever your path leads. Pretty nice. So this is the language that you're going to start to hear increasingly across campus, but certainly from the admission office. In a week's time, I'm not going to be reading that. I'm going to have it really, but we are. This is just language I thought you might like to hear. And that's all my big presentation. Again, my card's in the middle. If you have questions for me, if you want to sign up, I did send, I think everybody here, an invitation to be a formal parent ambassador. We don't have to be that formal about it. I just always like to know when you're coming, so I'm sure that there's stuff going on. We have a lot of events every day, or certainly every week, so I just want to make sure that I'm not taking your time needlessly. So, questions for me? Anything you want to know?